haven't done a video for quite some time, and I was encouraged in this moment. It's literally been no thought processing going in, just a kind of 5-second timeline from the ending of watching a Black Mirror episode to pressing record on this. I don't even know what the Black Mirror episode is called. It's a new one. And to this production team of Black Mirror, I think they have been, I don't know who the producers are. I don't know what their, where their monetary interests lie, which studios or production networks they are linked into or with. But one thing I can say is the story writing is very I guess dystopian is one way to call it, but it's very on point. It's very, very on point, and I think that most people would watch this sort of content and be like, wow, that was a pretty sci-fi way of looking at things. Wow, can you imagine that? And we have a good old laugh and we say, wow, can you just imagine that? How wild, how crazy. But the thing is, about all of their episodes lies such a big truth. And it's very, very deep. It's very, very deep. In this last episode that I watched, a woman moves into some sort of hospitalization. Her husband, of course, is afraid to let go of her. The miracle solution comes around the corner in terms of a tech company backing up the brain to their servers and giving a free surgery. So surgery is for free. You just then have to back the brain up to the servers. So what is the speaking to? Consciousness being backed up onto machine servers. And your wife will be saved and she will be alive and she will be a cloned version as such, but the exact same mimic. It's still her. Don't worry, sir. And all you have to do after this free surgery that we will provide you, so the hook and bait, is to pay a monthly subscription. Okay, amazing. We can do this. Yay, I still get to keep my wife. We still get to keep our jobs. We're going to have to work a little bit harder to stay alive, and basically the reason that I've come on here is to speak about the fact that we are, as a population, a civilization, a humanity that has been so inverted that we believe that we are here to hold on one second. That we believe that we are here to accumulate, right? And we think that the accumulation lies in the accumulation of assets, in the accumulation of physical material things. But the accumulation is actually the accumulation of soul lessons that occur through dealing with letting go, right? And what has occurred and has continuously occurred is this fear. Humans fear letting go because the illusion of safety has been so strongly coded into this reality system that letting go is the most fearful thing that we could possibly imagine. And we don't know what is on the other side of letting go. And so we hold on to the illusion. And so we hold on to the accumulation of the assets and the material things to keep us safe, to keep us in our structure, to keep us in our fantasy, to keep us in our story. And that structure within the illusion is designed as such to make you programmable in order to think that you are safe while you are accumulating, without ever learning the lesson of letting go. without ever moving into the emotional state of being, of feeling grief, of feeling loss, of feeling the fear, rising above the fear through the process of letting go and realizing the beauty that lies on the other side of the grieving process, of the emotional states that we go through, that we avoid at all costs. And yet we have the audacity to say the thing that makes us human is our emotional body, yet we are so afraid to go there. And so we create these walls, these boundaries, these stories, these structures that supposedly keep us safe. And all they're keeping us safe from is a set of very, very, very hard emotions. Because once you knock through that door, once you knock through the illusion, the soul can then see, the soul can feel clearly in clarity that although it takes a brave and courageous soul to let go, to move through this excessive and exquisite set of emotions, on the other side of that is this exceptionally powerful soul lesson, is this huge soul growth. And from that comes clarity of the storyline of creation, clarity within the crystalline, let's say, structure of God, of how things are weaved, of how the interdependent and interrelated relationships of life are happening. But we're so afraid to feel these emotions. And in this Black Mirror episode, where her husband, obviously in a state of panic, one morning he wakes up, he has his beautiful wife with him. The next couple of hours, she has been in an accident and he might need to let go of her. This level of non-attachment is something that we are not used to. The level of codependence that we have on each other, unhealthy codependence, is huge because our relationship stories, our stories around romance have been tweaked and programmed in order to hold on that which may cause toxicity to us. Please know, I'm not saying that a husband-wife and partner-partner relationship is inevitably toxic in any way, shape, or form. But once you begin to see the stories for what they are, the weaving of the program to steer you away from feeling what you are feeling, that's what I'm speaking about. Once you see how it steers you away from feeling what you are actually feeling, and how we dupe ourselves through the storyline, through the fixation of that which is outside of us, we see how dependent we become. We see how codependent we become. And so this man in the story obviously is in a space of shock. Do most people know how to deal with shock? No. Do they know how to deal with grief? Definitely not. It's a very, very hard process. Do they therefore know how to deal with loss? No. The only time we really deal with loss is when death comes. However, we are now having a technological and artificial intelligence revolution. And that video that I watched today is precisely, it's such a perfect modeling of our future to come. And how he loses his soul aspect through keeping his wife alive, through displacing and bypassing the emotional aspects that comes with organic life processes of life and death, and organic life processes in this timeline, because in the ancient times there was far more of a life force energy moving through us. Our macabre light systems were not damaged in the way they are now, so it was sort of like a far longer period of life living before we drop the physical body. But the entire story of how we are as humans has been distorted. And so we watch how this man now sells his soul in order to make money, to keep up with the financial payments of keeping his wife alive on this service system. And of course, she can now be manipulated, so consciousness hijacking, all right, in order to run adverts and be used by the company that she is paying, and be upgraded and not be able to pay for upgraded packages of subscriptions, and therefore the technology begins to glitch, so her body gets used as a marketing stream to create adverts at odd times. And it's total, I want to be wise with my words now, hold on. How they have portrayed this Black Mirror episode is, from my perspective, absolute perfection. Because if this level of production cannot teach you and give you foresight into how art creates realities, right? And how this level of production and movie making, whatever you want to call it, does not give you insight into how the future is going to be. I mean, just if we think about it, we can take 100 different movies and series and be like, oh my God, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. That movie, Star Trek, Star Wars, these things have happened. If any of you have watched Westworld, this is how it is, right? And so we're starting to have a very serious conversation about 1, technology, 2, AI, 3, organic ways of living and therefore dying in grace, in dignity, as your organic sovereign self, as far as we know. Because the 4th topic that I was going to bring up there is now cloning, right? And I know this is scary for some of you, and it seems very, very sci-fi. I am completely aware of that. But like any other day, we have choice. And what I feel is that there is going to be an evolution and revolution of people beginning to slow down, because time has been going so fast. And with the rise of artificial intelligence and just everything speeding up, everything becoming warp speed, everything becoming pretty manic within the psyche. What is real? What is not real? What am I spending my time on and with? Where am I spending my money? How is this affecting me? Do I feel like I need to keep up by continuing to advance with technology as technology advances? Or actually, is it okay to say no and slow down and move on a completely different timeline, which a lot of you might call New Earth, whatever it is you want to call it, but understanding that to maintain your free will and to maintain your sovereignty, you're really going to have to check in with every breath. Every breath. And the beauty of this experience is that it really begins to push us into understanding the free will aspect of creation, therefore re-entitling you or creating a reclamation gateway for you to begin to very, very consciously say yes or no to certain things. And so like anything, any time on earth, we can raise our arms up and shout and scream at the atrocities. Now say that again. The atrocities and the darkness that happens on this planet. Or we can begin to disembark, disassemble, reclaim sovereignty and be like, you know what? No, thank you very much. And it takes a very, very brave soul. It takes a very, very brave soul. I'll keep this one short. So, again, I don't really have the name of this new Black Mirror episode. But I think those of you playing around with artificial intelligence and those of you on the path to really exploring your spiritual nature, your God nature, your God body, I think it's more than obvious at this point in time that we are in mirror technology, right? An augmented creation system that we learn from. Whether you like it or not, whether that is true for you or not, is up to you. That's okay. It's just something to consider. And so, again, these Black Mirror episodes, very, very interesting. Great learning models for possible integration of what we are going to be dealing with in the now and near future, right? And I think the message of this story is, or this share is, we've been designed, or the system has been. So I'm kind of moving through a learning model of everything is in an inversion, and even if it's not, let's just say it is, right? And that's what I'm learning from at the moment. Let me switch everything around and say everything is inverted. So in a reality where we have been taught to create and bring things to us, I spoke about those physical manifestations of abundance through material form and leaving ourselves rather spiritually bankrupt. The ineffable, the intangible, the unseeables, we don't worry about those things. So that is the inversion. So now let's say the other aspect of that is, what if we are here in the system to grow through letting go of the illusion, to grow through the pain, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, the pain, the grief that you will move through when you let go of the illusion. And the illusion is that it is not all love and light. The illusion is that there are forces out there that you give your consent to on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, whether it be your food, your government, your schools, your relationship. There are so many. There are so many happening at any precise point within the day where it is programmed. And this is it. What does it feel like? And this is why spiritual teachers are always going, oh my God, I'm dying again. I'm going through another death. Because death is hard. But once you learn the beauty of the organic nature of letting go, and it is a paradox and it's difficult because the death is not easy, but it sure feels, well, for me at least, it sure feels like a hell of a lot more freedom than the lie. It sure feels like a hell of a lot more autonomy than the fairy tale and the story. I'd rather live a harder truth than a light and fluffy lie, to be honest. And this translates in one's life as possible ostracization from certain groups, from family members, from friends. Definitely creates upset when it comes to relationships. It definitely puts you in a category, particularly if you are linking out of the matrix system from financial perspectives, from health insurance perspectives, from housing perspectives, from bonds, from all of these agreements, all of these made up things. And it takes tremendous, tremendous courage. And so, like I said, I think the essence of the message of this particular video is, how can we become braver and more courageous at letting go and feeling the depth of those emotions, and even letting go of aging, for example's sake. You know, we have such a warped perspective, particularly with women, on how it is we're meant to look and feel and age. You know, aging without a wrinkle, and still being this shit hot influencer, Instagram presentable perfection. It's augmented. It's not real. It's not real unless you are able to really move to the kingdom within, reactivate that DNA. So it's like light again, like it's refueling the engine of the light body system to move through bio-regenesis, to move through those biohacking techniques. That is not happening with the mind, it's happening with the DNA, and it's happening through soul integration from the timelines, from the dimensions into one timeline point, which is your eternal now, and then really anchoring in that you know, that Buddhic body, that avatar body of yours, and coming into eternal light, ageless and free, right? Timeless and free. But it's not meant to be happening through these distorted technologies and mechanics that are putting things into our body that are very, very much adding the nanotechnology into the body. So it's not that you may have to die and have your brain uploaded into a cloud and a server. It's already happening when you go to the dentist, when you may be putting Botox fillers in. I mean, it's your deodorants, the food that we're eating. These are the metals. This is how it happens. And so again, Black Mirror episode, I definitely recommend watching it. Just shield yourself beforehand. Understand why you're watching it. It's not as an entertainment, but as a learning, as an observation of what we're about to step into and what we've come from, and to really begin to weave the pieces of the story together of why many of the groups may be warning you about the dangers of AI. And the thing is as well is we've got to shift this, or I invite you to shift this perception around what it is and how and when you use it, because it's already happened before OpenAI came in. ChatGPT, it's our phones, it's the internet, it's speaking via Zoom rather than at the meeting. And of course, I understand that we've adapted, and through the adaptation, we've normalized. But as it starts to just get piercingly fucking weird and piercingly obvious, this is where I think a very, very big timeline split is going to happen. Again, within the one, it all is happening simultaneously, right? But I mean, I'm already feeling like I'm gonna jump off of Facebook. I think it's just an echo chamber. I watch everybody watching 3 seconds of an hour and a half long video, and I'm just like, fuck, what am I giving my attention? You know, where? There's no focus. Your consciousness is already gone. You have no focus. You don't want to learn from this particular. I'm not saying, oh, poor me, you don't want to learn from me. It's not that. It's that, have you not recognized that your consciousness cannot focus and be like, I would like to watch this content for its full transmission, right? In absolute focus for myself and in respect of this person's content and their creation. We're watching 3 seconds of things and switching off. That is programmed. You're already in that program. And I'm not saying I'm separate from it, but I'm saying the gift of this is to observe, like I said, at every moment in time, when you have a choice point, when you have a choice point, when you have a choice point. Because essentially that awareness, our energetic mechanics, the training is to hold that purity, hold that neutral point, hold that field for longer and longer and longer periods of time, without falling into a biasing, without falling into a bypass, without falling into a trigger, without falling into blackpilling yourself, without falling into hypervigilance, without falling into the 100 million traps on the very icky, sticky spider's web, right? Which is the Borger system. Okay, this has all been designed. It's all been there before. It's all multidimensional technology. It's fascinating, but never forget your fucking soul, man. Like, there is a fire, a flame that lies within you, that in the stillest of moments, nobody can take away from you. And you will learn to trust your breath. Your breath, your nervous system, your body as yours, your biological system. Because this is where we're going. It was a race of information, and then a race of grids, and a grid war, and a this war, and a that war, and a war. And now it's always been the overarching theme, a war on consciousness. But when we start to look at these very dystopian Matrix-style movies or Black Mirror, I think it's just easier to see in the now timeline how this stuff is not just a story created by a very good storyteller. Because what are the stories? They are reality. So we need to become very wise. We change that languaging. I invite us to become very wise at the stories we tell and the stories we create. And this is why I think there's going to be this interesting, I don't want to use that word, hold on, interesting, let's say, move to reclamation of simpler, more organic life. I just see this as the ultimate test of returning to the body, the earth and the soil, the simplicity. Not that the wisdom disappears and not that you cannot engage, but there is just a different texture of living in that. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful weekend. And yes, it's been great to connect again. Ciao. Join me on a journey into the mystery school, the Azurite Temple. Join our Christ Consciousness Shield. If you are interested, check out the link and we'll see you there. We begin in August. There are 2 options, 7 months and 3 months. And I really hope to see you there for this exquisite excursion into embodiment and quantum healing. Ciao.